One of the I would say, as far as I guess it's a tip and kind of a skill, I would say as a leader, one of the most important skills to develop is the ability to listen. I think that is the most vital tip that any leader should have. As a great leader, if you have an ability to listen.
Hey, welcome to the Leadership Loading Podcast. I'm Jason McClaren.
Hello, my name is Ashton Young.
Ashton, thanks for coming to the show today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to an amazing conversation and sharing what life was like before, during, and after the military.
100%. So yeah, Ashton, let's start off. We were talking before recording, but I know your background. So tell the audience what you did before you joined the military, or what led you to join.
Awesome. So before I joined the military, I was working with my grandparents. They've owned a landscaping business for about 30 years now. So I work with them. I had three jobs. So I worked with them. I worked at Crystals, and I also worked at Publix. I was a deli associate. So doing those three jobs, trying to make a way. I always knew I wanted to go to college. Didn't have a way to pay for college outside of understanding that, the military pays for college if you do 4 years at least. So that's what led me to join the military. I told my mom that, hey, I'm about to go sign up for the Marines. I'm gonna go be a Marine. I'm gonna pay for my degree. And she was like, before you do that, let's have a conversation. So, she talked to me, had one of her friends take me down to the Coast Guard base and actually show me the Coast Guard base. And that's when I was like, oh, this seems pretty nice. I just want to get my degree, serve the country, and, hopefully become a better citizen afterwards. So I ended up joining the Coast Guard.
Definitely, yeah. I know. I think everybody that went in the military probably has their own little story of how we broke our parents into it. Mine was I knew I was going to go in the Air Force. That's what I wanted to do from eighth grade, and then my mom was totally against it. She's like, "No, you're going to college." So I snuck off one day and enlisted. I think she was out of town for a couple of weeks, and then she came home and found my enlistment papers in my nightstand. And of
Oh,
course,
wow.
conversation then. So yeah,
Oh,
definitely a little bit different. The Marines almost got me too. Of course, they're usually right next door to the other recruiters.
hmm
The Air Force ones were out to lunch or something, so I was just walking around the mall waiting for them to get back. And the Marine guys like, "Why don't you come in the Marine?" They're like, "No, I want to do Air Force."
It's a good thing you had your eyes set because they have some good sales pitches.
Definitely. So, what did you do in the Coast Guard?
So in the Coast Guard, I was an operations specialist for 4 years. Well, before that, I'm not sure if you heard of I don't remember his name, but it's the guy that does like the dirtiest jobs.
Like,
He
bro,
actually did Yeah, he actually did one of his jobs on the buoy tender. So that was my first unit. I was on the buoy tender as a non-rate. Um, I would say it was the toughest job I had in the military, physically. I gained about 45 pounds of pure muscle just cleaning the buoys in the ocean, the red and green things that you see out there that help ships navigate. So I did that for about 8, 9 months until I went to school and became an operations specialist. With that, I became an OS. So I was operations specialist stationed on board the Coast Guard Cutter Midget out of Seattle, Washington, where I did drug interdiction, migrant rescue, fisheries boardings, like we were talking about up in Alaska. So I sailed up and down the Pacific, been to about 10 plus different countries, just, serving as an operations specialist in the command center.
that's awesome. A good variety there of career. So you did your 4 years and you went to school. Did you go? Where you go to school?
So while I was in the military, I was going to school on board the ship. So I went to American Public University, which is amazing. They offer great flexibility for people in the military. So I do recommend anyone wanting to take college classes while in the military. They have amazing advisors. The teachers work with you. Say you go out to sea, you lose service, you lose connection and internet, which happens a lot, or you're overseas, over outside of the country during tours there, they work with you. So I was able to get about 90%, I'll say 85 to 90% of my AA degree done while on board the ship. And then when I got out, I went to Valencia College in Orlando, where I completed my AA degree. Then I finished at UNF with my bachelor's degree with a focus with my bachelor's degree in business administration with a focus in finance.
Yeah, I went to AMU, American Military University, which is American
Yeah.
University's counterpart. I did all mine after the service. Unfortunately, when
Hmm.
I was in, it was very difficult to get what do they call it, tuition benefits while I was
Hmm.
active because I was a firefighter also, so I worked 24 on, 24 off.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know about AMU at the time. Of course, that would have been great because if I deployed or, fire service, something happened, I could always pause my classes or whatever. But yeah, definitely,
Hmm.
I definitely support AMU, APU. I'm at a different university now, but yeah, good benefits all around, especially with the military and doing those college classes there.
Most definitely.
So you did 4 years, got your schooling in, and now what are you up to?
Oh man, life has taken me so many different directions. But now what I'm currently up to, I'm a father, I'm a fiance, I'm a podcast host of the Pure Vida Wealth podcast, where our values is self-love, personal growth, and financial literacy, which I believe are key pillars to hopefully helping us restore the economy and have a better world ahead for our youth. And as my career, my day job, I am a wealth advisor. So I specialize in financial planning for entrepreneurs, families, and individuals who aspire to have a fulfilling life. My focus is to educate and help people understand the importance of financial planning and financial literacy. So I focus a lot on the planning aspect and just looking at the holistic picture and the entire picture for individuals and families that I work with.
Awesome. And is that something like with your schooling, did you maybe get recruited for that, or like is it just are you just found the position?
I found the position. So after the military, I have been working in the corporate world for about 4 years now. So I started at Merrill. No, I'm sorry. I started at SoFi. So I was at SoFi for about a year where I worked in the student loan department. And then I always wanted to get my Series 6, Series 7, Series 63, so my securities licenses. And I ended up with a job at Merrill Edge where I was a senior investment specialist. Left Merrill Edge, went to Citigroup, and I worked as an investment specialist over there. But instead of working with clients directly, I just work with the actual relationship managers and financial advisors. And that's when I kind of to realize, okay, this financial advisor thing is more in along the lines of what I wanted to do because I thought I wanted to go into investment banking, but then when I realized what I feel like my purpose is, which is to educate and help other individuals understand the importance of financial literacy, I figured a financial advisor path was more aligned with that. So I did about a year as a senior. I can't think of the name, but it's called City Gold Investment Rep. But I help financial advisors and relationship managers that work for Citi, and then I transferred to a fund accountant role, and I did fund accounting for a mutual fund group for about a year, and that was pretty tough because I salute all accountants out there. That is some tough work to learn. It is not as simple as it looked. I understand now why there's designations for that. It wasn't my strong suit at all. But from there, like I said, I applied for different financial advisor roles, and I landed back in the financial advisor role that I'm in now.
Yeah, I come from the healthcare sector, and the finance director, he would always say, "Don't call me an accountant," because I don't want to do all that stuff. 'Cause, yeah, but definitely that's a hard job.
Yes. Oh,
Definitely
definitely.
takes somebody with some blessings for that. So,
Yeah, I feel like the language is a complete, you're learning
oh yeah.
accounting, true accounting, you're learning a completely different language.
Yeah, 100%. So with that, like, so people call you, what do they call you for the education? Like, what kind of things do y'all do for them?
So me personally, like I said, I do the whole financial planning package. So I look at everything as far as retirement, savings, budgeting, spending, investments. I look at pretty much any and all things that anyone in life needs on a day to day. And I take that and I understand what is the person's goals that they currently have and what are their goals for the future. And so, with that in mind, I'm able to have a complete understanding of what that client's needs and desires are. And with that in mind, I can come up with a plan for them. Well, I'm sorry, not I. We come up with a plan together, me and the individual that I'm working with or the entrepreneur that I'm working with. We come up with a plan to ensure that along the way, they have the capital necessary in every aspect of their life to knock out those goals. So whether that's, they want to sit at home and sit on the couch every day and not have to think about, working 20 years from now, or if they want to go buy a new boat and things. So that's all things that we take into consideration. So it's less about what I do in a sense, and it's more about what the client wants to do.
And do the clients like what is the fee structure? Do they pay you beforehand, a flat rate, or what does that work? How does that work?
So as far as fees go, it just depends on the actual person. Like I said, everyone is different, and just due to compliance, I can't necessarily get into fees and the fee structure. It is something that would more so have to be understood once we have the conversation with the client or prospect and understand what it is they need. So everyone will be different. Like yours might be different from mine than the next person. It just depends on where you're at in life and what you need.
Okay, good deal. And what was the name of your podcast again?
And so the name of my podcast is the Pura Vida Wealth Podcast. So Pura Vida, so Puravida. And I got that from when I was in Costa Rica. They everyone in Costa Rica says Pura Vida. And so every time you see someone, they're like Pura Vida, Pura Vida. And it means pure life.
Awesome. We'll put a link for that in the show notes below.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
Ashton, if you had one tip for a new leader, what would it be?
For me, I would say one of the biggest tips that I can give new leaders is okay, sorry. One of the I would say, as far as I guess it's a tip and kind of a skill, I would say as a leader, one of the most important skills to develop is the ability to listen. I think that is the most vital tip that any leader should have. As a great leader, if you have an ability to listen and hear the feedback of your team, of your clients, of your customers, of whoever you're working with, you're going to truly understand the needs of the team, the needs of the clients, and the needs of individuals that you're out here trying to serve. And I feel like that the ability, a person's ability to listen makes them a great leader.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Ashton. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I like what you're doing. I appreciate the platform that you're giving individuals like myself and others out there, and I wish you much success.
Hey, everybody. This episode of the Leadership Learning Podcast was brought to you by Go Heroes Inc., goheroes.org. If you'd like to be a sponsor, go ahead and check out our website or email us, and we'll get you all the information you need.
There are thousands of leadership and management podcasts to choose from. We're glad you chose the Leadership Loading Podcast, a Go Heroes production. If you'd like to support Go Heroes Inc., visit www.goheroes.org. And with that, it's time to wrap up today's show. Thank you so much for listening. We sincerely hope you liked it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your family and friends. Let's all grow together. Thanks for listening to the Leadership Loading Podcast. Leadership inspired.